तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्।
Hari Om and good evening. Welcome to this unique session of Kindle Life. Today we began our session with the Gayatri Mantra, and in today's session we are going to complete the Gayatri Mantra. It has been decided by us that due to a continuous flow which will come now as we are reading, even if it requires an extension, we will take that extension or we will continue our session tomorrow itself. So let's begin this session first with prayers.
Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahabhiryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Guru Namaha. Harihi Om. The Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat.
Right. So this is the Gayatri Mantra which begins with Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Yesterday we saw that there are 14 lokas, and to our ego or our jiva as we are known as, we are continuously related to the three worlds which are immediately connected to us. That is Bhur, Bhuva and Swaha. These three worlds are also connected to our three states. That is the waking, the dream and the deep sleep state. And you remember the substratum or the silence is the fourth state or Turiya. Now, this is how Gayatri Mantra is through and through our lives every day, every moment. So take this time and this session to understand it very, very thoroughly. Please, Jitish.
We read further. The Hindu concept that Gayatri Mantra was declared at first by the Creator himself at the very beginning of creation may be considered as an over-exaggeration, which is an unavoidable feature in many portions of our Vedic literature. But it is also a fact that even the Western scholars, who have been accepted by all as having a better historical sense, have themselves declared the Gayatri Mantra as one of the oldest available divine hymns. It is true that many revolutionary changes have taken place in our religious belief, and yet this mantra continues to persist and has even today a compelling charm of its own for millions of Hindu hearts. It is not only believed, but it has been actually observed that by the repetition of this mantra with the right understanding of its sacred meaning, the ordinary negative tendencies in the human mind can be erased to a large extent. So, Gurudev is very, very open about it. That it sounds very exaggerated that Brahma, when he started creating this world, he must have said the Gayatri. Because we have nothing to indicate to that. At the same time, he says, and on the other hand, the Westerner, who have a so-called better understanding of history, they find by the chanda or the lyrical movement of the Gayatri Mantra that this is the oldest divine chant. So Gurudev is very, very open and balanced about these aspects. We further read, this mantra is never chanted for the purpose of material gain, physical or otherwise. Its very invocation concludes with an appeal to the pure consciousness to illumine our heart more. That is to say, it is a prayer unto the self to unveil itself and come to manifest a pure wisdom in our life. Like yesterday we were speaking, and Rashi very clearly said, reading the book, that there are some mantras which ought to be known. The meaning ought to be known
Understood, yes.
when you are saying that mantra. Gayatri mantra is such one mantra which is from the Vedic period. Therefore, this mantra is not a mantra for asking something physical or material. It is a call to the divine self within. To do what? To express, illumine itself in our intellect.
To unveil itself. So to remove our avarna and our vikshepa. So appeal to that divinity within ourselves to reveal itself so that we get liberation.
And so that liberation is known as pure wisdom in our life. Gayatri mantra is otherwise called the Savitri mantra.
Also pronounced as Savitar mantra.
Savitar. In the Gayatri mantra itself, it is pronounced as Savitar because rules of grammar apply over there of Sanskrit. But as Gurudev has said, Savitri. It's a full word, Savitri. Savitri mantra. In the ancient Vedic literature, this mantra was indicated familiarly as Savitri. And this term has been given to Gayatri because it is dedicated to the deity called Savitri. Ahead it will be explained what it means. In some rare old books, we find this mantra titled as Savitri Gayatri. It only means that it is an invocation dedicated to the Lord Sun, couched in the Vedic meter called Gayatri. Couched means like me and Rashmi are sitting together in one line, in couched. Therefore, one has to understand it clearly. There are many beliefs around Gayatri mantra, which Gurudev will slowly, one by one, take and unveil it, the truth to us.
So essentially now we know that Gayatri was also known as Savitri mantra, and in some rare old books it was also called Savitri Gayatri mantra. And what is Gayatri? It is also explained over there. It is according to the Vedic meter that it is called Gayatri.
So
we
yeah.
will,
as we read, we will come to know, because Gurudev has explained it himself. This is considered to be the most important mantra written out in the meter, and therefore by tradition this mantra has come to be known as Gayatri. Now, meter means a particular way of singing. Those who are in the background of singing, they will understand what meter means. Means in a particular composition. So Gayatri is a particular composition, and it was so powerful that this meter itself came to be known as Gayatri. In Bhagavad Gita also, Shri Krishna himself has said that mantro mein main hu Gayatri.
Yeah, so the mantra came to be known
as Gayatri also. The Gayatri meter is generally constituted of 3 lines of 8 syllables each. 3 lines, in each line 8 syllables. The 3 lines of Gayatri, Savitri mantra, are as follows. Now, the mantra itself. We have been singing Gayatri mantra now since this evening, we've done it twice. But this is the mantra aspect. Om Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yona Prachodaya. Means what is not there actually? Om Bhur Bhuva Swa. That line is not in the Gayatri mantra. Why it is not? It is being explained very shortly. But these 3 lines constitute the Gayatri mantra. You will find in the above that the first line has only 7 syllables. This is explained generally in 2 ways. A, the syllable niyama, that is varenyam, nyam, niyama, is constituted of ni plus and therefore there are required 8 letters in the line. And B, the other way of explaining is that the line is to be read along with Omkar. Remember? Pranava Om, which would supply the missing syllable. So Rashri, Gayatri Mantra has to begin with Om.
Not only Gayatri, all mantras have to begin with the Pranava or Om, because Pranav is the Pran, that which gives life to that mantra. Without that, if you say the mantra, it does not have any effect, it is not effective. So Pranav has to be said with every mantra. So it is explained over here how the 8th syllable, if somebody objects that there are only 7 in the first line, so they are explained in 2 ways. One is that Niyama is got 2 syllables.
Ni and Yama.
Or that Om
Om
Pranav
is the
itself has to be said in the beginning. That is why that also may be considered as the 8th syllable.
And Gurudev here gives the lineage also. From where does these two thoughts come? The former is the idea of Sri Shankara. Now you all know when we say Shankara means who? Sri Adi Shankara.
Adi Shankara. Yeah.
There. Bhagwan is there. The former is the idea of Sri Shankara. In this commentary, on his commentary on Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, Shankara splits the letter into 2 components and considers that the rule of the meter are thereby fully obeyed. Gayatri Mantra belongs to the Rig Veda, and it is found in the 3rd mandala in its 16th sutra as
60th sutra.
I beg your pardon, in its 60th sutra and as the 10th mantra. So complete chronology, where it starts from, where it is found, how it is, where it is, complete detail is given, plus why, the first explanation, second explanation.
Also, just a reminder to you all that we have seen earlier that Rika, that is Rika Ved, is where the poetry or the metric mantras are
chanted,
kept together, and
Yajus.
the Yajus was where the prose was done together. Thus, it is found in Rik, of course. The seer of Rik.
The seer of the mantra is that royal saint Vishwamitra. All the mantras belonging to the 3rd mandala of the Rig are attributed to the saint Vishwamitra. The Gayatri Mantra is also seen in the Shukla Yajurveda as well as the Krishna Yajurveda. So Yajurveda has 2 aspects to it. The Krishna, which we generally call as the full moon, and the Shukla as the full moon and Krishna as the new moon. So both types of Yajurveda, there you find Gayatri. As very correctly Rashri pointed out, in Yajurveda they are in the prose form. So you can either sing or you can say Gayatri. This mantra is dedicated to the Lord Savitir. See, as Kavi Rashi was saying, now it is written as Savitir, not Savitri. Savitir. The Savitir represents the Lord Sun, is the accepted version. Even though there are some scholars who protest against this. The sun gives all illumination to the world, and any prayer for light should
certainly be addressed.
Beg your pardon. The sun gives all illumination to the world, and any prayer for light should certainly be addressed to the source of all lights in the material world, the sun. In Gita, the Lord says, the light that pervades the sun, the moon, all are my light. What it says in 15th chapter is so beautiful. Na tad bhasayate suryah, na shashanko na pavakah, yad gatva na nivartante, tad dham paramam mama. That my dham is that dham, I am that, where what Surya, what Chandra, nothing illumines over there. Because the light of the consciousness which I am pervades everyone. Self-illuminating.
So here now we have seen that Gayatri is found, of course, in the Rig Veda, but it is also found in the Yajus also.
Yeah. So The two aspects were explained over here, that Savitir means Surya Bhagwan. This prayer is offered to Surya Bhagwan because he illumines the entire universe. So he is the giver of light. Light means life. And in the self, in one's own body, the illuminator, the consciousness, the illuminator of the body, the mind, the intellect is the consciousness, is the Savitir. So these both are explained. The Savitir, the Lord of Gayatri, is nothing other than the light of consciousness, the infinite, the absolute.
Yeah, in the earlier we just a little while ago explained that Gayatri Mantra is a prayer to the self, to illumine the self. So obviously Savitar over here means the infinite, the absolute and the light of consciousness.
Now Gurudev is going to give us a whole meaning, general meaning of the same three sentences. Om Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodaya, which means we meditate upon the auspicious godly light of the Lord Sun. May that heavenly light illumine our thoughts flow in our intellect. This mantra is always chanted along with the Pranava and the Vyahariti. Pranava, Om. Vyahariti, Bhu, Bhuva, Suva.
When these three come together, they are known as Vyariti.
There is an entire chapter in Taittiriya Upanishad, Vyahariti Upasana. So those who are keenly interested in learning this even in detail, we can take up Upanishads and study. Or when Gurudev or Guruji takes Upanishadic studies, you all can attend directly. It's beautiful. The usual practice daily worship, Sandhya Karma, of Hindu mainly includes repetition of this Gayatri mantra. Kindly pay attention to this aspect. As a Hindu, even we are supposed to do few things regularly as our sadhana.
And only not because it's a ritual, but for our own benefit. We have seen two benefits already, that the negative tendencies tend to go away when you say the Gayatri mantra.
And
Secondly, it is a prayer to be illumined.
invoke that positivity, that energy which gives life within us.
So it used to be said in what is called as Sandhya, and we will see
Read
what
it
it
further.
is.
The usual practiced daily worship known as Sandhya Karma of a Hindu mainly includes repetition of this Gayatri mantra. In the ancient days, Sandhya Vandana, the daily worship was only a purificatory act. It is only a method of reintegrating one's own mind that has run wild during the day and has drowned completely in total inertia in the night. Means the whole day we have worked. Our minds have gone into the world so much that you become bahirmukhi. Your whole outlook becomes outwardly.
Disturbed, agitated.
So when you come back home in the evening, clean yourself, bathe yourself, and then sit with the jap mala and then focus in your own self so that you are connected with your own inner self.
Remove all the negative tendencies that you may have
Outside.
accumulated throughout the day.
How many times we have heard this in the modern day? That I come back from the office, but the office comes with me. I can't just stop thinking. How will you stop thinking when you don't know the techniques of how to stop thinking of the world?
But now we are learning.
Now we are learning. In Manusmriti we read, in the early dawn, by doing this japa standing, one ends all sins committed during the night. And by doing the japa in the evening by sitting, one ends one's sins committed during the day. In the morning, standing up and doing this japa. In the evening, sitting. Why? Why all this? We'll come to know.
Yeah, but just to add also over here, the Sandhya was done twice a day, one in the morning and once in the evening. And both the times you were supposed to say the Gayatri Mantra. The morning, Sandhya, you were supposed to say it standing up. And in the evening, you were supposed to say it sitting up. We will see the details.
Yeah. Sin, the word sin, papa in Hindu, in scriptures, what it means, Gurudev is explaining here. Sin here means, as everywhere else in our sacred books, the agitations created in our mind, the agitations created in our mental life by our negative actions and the tendencies to repeat the same, which is left by them as impressions upon the mind. So, what is sin? The agitations. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Ahankar. All these agitations that are created by the mind, and we act accordingly. The moment we act, these leave more impressions on the mind behind so that it can be done again. These agitations and the impression of the agitations are the papa, or the sins.
Just again to remind you, very early on during the reading of Kindle Life, we have seen about vasanas and how they affect us and how it then turns into karma. And similarly, new karma gives rise to new vasanas, which becomes the impressions, and then we get stuck in the cycle of birth and rebirth. So it also pertains to that.
So this was the original thought, how it was explained by Manu of Manusmriti. Now again Gurudev is saying, it is only afterwards that the importance of Gayatri grew to its present status. Later on, sometime during our steady slipping into our present decadent state, the belief that Gayatri cannot be chanted without the sacred thread became much rampant, a belief which we seldom meet with in the ancient lore. Very crystal clearly, Gurudev is saying that the thread ceremony, or those who wear the thread, in Hindus, generally the Brahmins are supposed to wear the thread. The Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas and the other Shudras are also supposed to wear the thread on some ceremony. So the rampant belief later on, means in our age, is this, that only when you wear the sacred thread, then you can say the Gayatri.
Or maybe that only if you are a Brahmin,
then you can say the Gayatri. Gurudev is very crystal clear saying that in the Vedic lore it is not to be mentioned anywhere like that.
It was never like that before.
So it was inducted later on, for whatever the reason may be of that era. But Gurudev is very crystal clear about this.
Just one more thing I must say, or remind ourselves over here. Just remember, in Hinduism, we have adopted what was good as required by that particular age and era, and when required, we have also removed things which were not agreeable. So remember how it can be over the time. The
flexibility that a Hindu has, no other religion, or for that matter any other philosophy, has this flexibility to adopt, to change, to better. Because as beautifully Rashi says most of the time, change means only better.
Change, well, the word change itself has to mean it is for the better.
Because if it is the other way around, then it is not a betterment change.
It
is only degradation. Yes. When we are thus daily using this mantra in our worship, it is chanted along with the pranava, that is Om, and the Vyaharatis, that is Bhur, Bhuva and Swaha. We may or may not add the pranava to the second line. I am going to read it. Om, Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha. Gurudev again repeats. Om, Tat Savitur Varenyam. He says it may not be used or may used according to you. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yona Prachodaya. There are two sandhyas in the day. What is Sandhya? It's a time to pray. What is the time to pray? Why it is that time to pray? What is the scientific significance? Everything is being told. There are two Sandhyas in a day. The term Sandhya means the blending point of day and night. In the ancient literature, we fail to find any importance for the midday worship. Like few days ago, we had said, or rather I had said, Sandhya has used to be done thrice. At the sunrise, sunset and the midday. Gurudev clearly says this was not like this in the Vedic period. It was only in the morning and the time when the dawn is and the time when the dusk is. According to the Vedic literature, the rishis seem to insist only upon morning and evening prayers. The midday prayer, it is not night. Actually, the word is might. It is by mistake written as
it's
night.
not night, it is might.
Might. I was wondering midday prayer night. So it's a slight
Error.
typography error. The midday prayer might have filtered into our creed, perhaps as an unnecessary borrowing from the Mohammedan cult. You know, the Islamists, they pray 5 times a day. Once in the morning, and then continuously they keep praying in the days also, then in the evening, at the dusk also, and at the late, just before sleeping also.
Yes, but for Hindus it was the morning and evening prayer.
Early morning, when the east blushes in light, and in the evening, when the golden light fades into darkness, we have the 2 sandhyas. Generally, the morning prayer are done most profitably between 4:30 a.m. and 5 a.m.
I think most of us are not awake at that time, but we really must try to do better.
One is very, very required. It is a change in life when you do this morning time, when you wake up at this morning time, which is called the Brahma Muhurat. And in the evening, the interval between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Now, Gurudev has given an asterisk over there. He is referring to his time when this book was written. You know, actually, in that time, the first time of the movie was not at 11 a.m. The movies that are shown in the film, in the theatre, it used to be this time only, 6 p.m. time. That was the first show. So he was mentioning how people, instead of doing Sandhya, go to see the movies.
Gurudev had a great sense of humor.
Terrific. His timing was terrific. 7 p.m. is the sacred hour for the evening prayers. After getting up from the bed, after answering the calls of the nature, purifying yourself completely, disallowing the mind to wander hither and thither, sincerely perform the morning japa, standing on your feet and repeating the mantra very slowly. Who has said this? In the Manusmriti, we find very interesting and clear directions on these prayers and worships. In the morning worship, till the sun rises above the horizon, do japa standing, and in the evening worship, sitting down, do your japa until the stars emerge out. Gurudev has also given the number of which shloka it is in Manusmriti. So, the scientific aspect, Rashmi, when you wake up in the morning and you try and tell yourself, I'll wake up after 10 minutes, you're gone. You will not wake up. But when you wake up, just shake yourself up, stand up, and slowly your whole mind will come to consciousness. Go take a bath, freshen up, do the morning thing, and standing do the japa. Why to do standing? Because if 4:30 or 5 in the morning, if you sit again, slowly you might doze off.
So please stand.
What brilliance, simplicity,
So
but
scientific.
most scientific. In the evening, when you have come back from the whole day's work, sound, noise, chaos, take a bath, sit peacefully with the deity in front of you, the feet of the deity in front of your eyes, the beautiful glowing face in front, and then do your japa so that you are refreshed. In the ancient days, the daily worship, Sandhya Karma, was not also elaborate as they have become today. After the days of the sutras and the agamas, we will explain to you what these words mean later on. In the beginning, the Veda advises us to sing the Gayatri mantra both at dawn and at the dusk, standing in water and facing the sun. Naturally, in the morning, the face will be eastwards, and in the evening, the face will be westwards turned. he who is chanting the mantra is to carry water in both the folded palms. And at the end of each mantra japa, he must offer that water to the Lord.
You've seen that. And then offer it to the Lord. Yeah.
This is called offering unto the great guests. Agraya Pradhan. As this water in the folded palm is offered, the devotee says this: Sun is Brahman. Asavadityo Brahma, and performs Atma Pradakshina. We know what is Pradakshina, going around the deity, but this is Atma Pradakshina. What it means? Turning round himself by his right. This signifies as a suggestion that the devotee is going around in reverence and devotion round the Lord Sun, the Brahman, which is the self in himself. So you may have also seen this in temples many a times, people just rotating around themselves. They just keep turning 3 rotations on your own self. This is what it means.
They may not even actually know what it means and doing it out of faith and shraddha. But what it means is going from your right hand side when you take a it is Atma Pradakshina.
Atma Pradakshina.
And when you do it 3 times, it is for Bhur Bhuva Swaha. So 3 times you turn around, so that is what it means.
The Gayatri is chanted generally at each Sandhya, a minimum of 10 times. But, however, according to one's faith, convenience and devotion, one can chant any number of times as one likes in any Sandhya. But never is this mantra chanted at night, after the sunset. Gayatri should not be repeated. This is a rule. Now, the only thing is, today we are talking about the Gayatri. So we are speaking it even after the sunset. However, Gurudev is very clear according to the Vedic injunctions that this is how it is supposed to be.
When you sit for chanting Gayatri mantra, it should be as a rule. Done only in the mornings and the evening sandhya, that is at the period when it is between sunrise and sunset.
In further the books, it is going to tell us what happens if you read it in the evening. There is no such problem, but he will explain it.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Okay, so we are going to end our session today because there is this continuity, a flow of Gayatri mantra. Tomorrow, instead of our discussion session, we are going to take this session of Gayatri and complete this chapter. Also,
Subsequently, then we will immediately come to our platform, the app platform, where we can discuss and continue.
So we will switch platforms and continue the discussion, maybe a shorter discussion. But tomorrow we will hold the session for completion of the Gayatri. I am sure you must have really enjoyed this session, and let us end now with prayers.
Om Asito ma Satgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.